Welcome, both longtime Leo devotees and curious newcomers, to Golden Fortune Leo, your sacred pit stop for cosmic clarity, astrological truths, and the occasional spiritual sass. I'm your seasoned guide, and no, I didn't just read a few horoscopes and decide to make a channel. I've spent decades studying the stars, decoding patterns in human behavior, and aligning those insights with deeper psychological truths, and yes, sprinkling in a bit of Buddhist wisdom for good measure. Because let's face it, we Leos don't just want answers. We want answers that roar with meaning. Now, if you've landed here because your life recently felt like a Netflix drama directed by the universe itself, congratulations! You're not imagining things. The spiritual turbulence you've been flying through? It's not punishment. It's preparation. And not just for anyone, for the chosen ones. Yes, Leo, I'm talking about you. This isn't some generic transit forecast. This is your soul's update log, and trust me, the software patch is overdue. From June's first breath, you've been crawling through a karmic tunnel that, let's be honest, felt more like a cosmic escape room with no clues. Old wounds resurfaced, unexpected delays blocked your path, and certain people, probably with dark hair and darker intentions, stirred up drama like it was their full-time job. But here's the plot twist they didn't see coming: you outgrew the chaos. The universe is closing that karmic chapter. You're not stuck. You're being spiritually rewired. Think of it as the cosmos uninstalling outdated programs so you can finally install Leo 2.0 Divine Upgrade Edition. Oh, and let's talk about that mysterious key. Around the corner, yes, before the month wraps up, there's a powerful turning point. It may show up as a job offer, a relationship shift, or even a sudden burst of insight during your morning coffee. It's the opportunity you've been praying, journaling, and manifesting candles over. And no, it's not lost in shipping. The spiritual Amazon Prime truck is en route. So buckle up and clear space at your door. When the universe delivers, it doesn't knock twice. Leo, your glow up isn't just about looking fierce, it's about stepping into your rightful role. A role that requires courage, humility, and yes, a sense of humor. Because sometimes the universe teaches through tension, and sometimes through TikTok-worthy irony. Welcome to the transformation. Let's begin. Let's talk about the career and financial forecast, Leo, because let's be honest, even a majestic lion needs to eat, thrive, and occasionally spoil themselves with something gold-plated. If you've been grinding harder than a coffee bean in a vintage espresso machine and still wondering where the results are, I've got news for you: that cosmic tide is finally turning. And I don't say this lightly. I've spent decades studying how celestial transits influence motivation, resilience, and those mysterious things we call divine timing. And trust me, yours is arriving right on schedule, even if it's been fashionably late. From an astrological standpoint, you've been in what we call a character-building arc. In psychology, we'd refer to it as a test of grit. And in Buddhist terms, it's just karma gently reminding you that nothing of real value comes without effort, patience, and a few blisters on your pride. But now, Leo, you're shifting from the underpaid overachiever chapter into something much more aligned with your birthright. Which is, in case you forgot, leadership, visibility, and purposeful impact. Let's break this down. If your professional life lately has felt like a sitcom where you're both the overqualified assistant and the underappreciated lead, you're not alone. Many Leos have been stuck in roles far below their spiritual payroll. But between now and the end of the month, a shift in energetic momentum is bringing long overdue traction. Think of it as the universe finally giving you the credit and the paycheck you've earned. Not because someone handed it to you, but because you earned it with every sleepless night, every humble yes when you wanted to say not my job, and every morning you showed up when you really wanted to disappear into a jungle of houseplants and Netflix. For those of you who've been navigating a season of lost clients, declining sales, job offers that ghosted you harder than your last date, consider this the slow but steady climb out of the valley. The seeds you've been planting are not wasted. You weren't hustling for nothing, you were preparing for a harvest that's just now beginning to bloom. It's subtle at first, an email you weren't expecting, a referral out of the blue, a small win that snowballs, but it's real. Keep your calendar open, because something unexpected, and potentially game-changing, may show up where you least expect it. And for my Leos who've been laid off, demoted, or sidelined unfairly, this part's especially for you. The chosen ones often get underestimated before they rise. That's not a glitch in the system, it's a spiritual rite of passage. The discomfort you've felt isn't a punishment, it's preparation. Whether it's a promotion, a job reoffer, or a new role that finally lets you shine instead of shrink, there's movement. Doors are creaking open. Opportunity is glancing your way. And if you're brave enough to walk through, even in mismatched socks and imposter syndrome, you'll discover that the new role fits better than you imagined. Now, let's address the less glamorous, but just as important terrain, legal and financial matters. If you've been knee-deep in contract disputes, messy divorces, or inheritance standstills, hold on. The fog is lifting. There's resolution ahead, though it may not come with fireworks and dramatic courtroom speeches. It may arrive as a quiet email, a small but meaningful agreement, or a moment of clarity that helps you finally let go of the emotional weight tied to it all. In Buddhist wisdom, wealth is not just about accumulation, it's about right livelihood, earned through conscious action and inner alignment. Leo, you're not just chasing a paycheck. You're realigning with purpose. And this next phase of your journey? It's less about proving your worth and more about finally being recognized for it. So sharpen your claws, but keep your heart open. Success is circling. And this time, it's got your name written in gold. Let's talk about love, Leo, and not the kind you read about in fairy tales or see in those overly filtered rom-coms on Netflix. I'm talking about real, raw, soul-shaping love. The kind that teaches you patience, sharpens your instincts, and yes, occasionally sends you crying into a pint of matcha ice cream at 1 a.m. But as someone who's studied both the stars and the human heart for decades, I'm here to tell you this: your love life right now? It's less happily ever after and more emotional plot twist meets cosmic growth opportunity. Buckle up, because things are getting interesting. Now, here's where it gets spicy. Remember that ex, the one who couldn't communicate unless it was through mixed signals, cryptic texts, or a well-timed "Hey, stranger" DM? Yep, them. They might be making a surprise reappearance. Some of you already felt the shift in energy, like a ghost from your emotional attic stirring the dust. Whether this person was overly possessive, emotionally unavailable, or simply a walking karmic lesson in genes, just know, their return is not necessarily a green light. It's a test. And as any Leo who's walked through enough spiritual fire knows, not every door that knocks deserves to be opened. This is where your wisdom kicks in. From a psychological perspective, unresolved attachment patterns tend to pull us back toward the familiar, even if it's toxic. But from a spiritual standpoint, familiarity without growth is just a cycle in disguise. So if you've done the work, Leo, if you've cried the tears, read the books, saged your bedroom, and maybe even went full "let me throw their stuff into the sea," then this is your chance to choose different. Choose better. But let's not get too gloomy. The stars are also showing fresh energy around you: potential suitors, admirers, maybe even a friend who's been eyeing you like you're the last croissant at brunch. I'm seeing 2, maybe 3 people entering your orbit. And Leo, let's be honest, when you're aligned with your worth, your magnetism is next level. People are drawn to your light. But here's the thing: just because someone sees your light doesn't mean they know how to honor it. Some of you may find yourselves in what I call romantic limbo, a spiritual Rubik's Cube of love triangles, flirty texts without follow-through, and the dreaded "we're not dating, but we're not dating" situationships. These are emotional sinkholes, Leo. They feel exciting at first but can drain your joy faster than Mercury in retrograde. Use discernment. Is this connection feeding your soul or feeding your confusion? Now here comes the uplifting part, your healing. Really healing. That heavy ache in your chest that used to show up when you thought about what you lost? It's getting lighter. You're not just loving with your heart anymore, you're re-loving with your whole self. Smarter. Sharper. Wiser. And that, my lion-hearted friend, is the truest kind of intimacy. As a longtime observer of Leo energy, I'll say this: when your heart isn't grounded in wisdom, it becomes a magnet for drama. But when it is grounded, you become unstoppable. This month, your intuition is dialed all the way up. You'll feel who's right, who's wrong, and who's just spiritually loitering in your inbox. Don't ignore those nudges. So whether you're rekindling, releasing, or rendezvousing, remember, love is not a battlefield. It's a sacred mirror. And right now, that mirror is reflecting back someone radiant, self-aware, and ready for the real thing. Guard your heart, but don't close it. Because what's coming next? It could be beautiful if you let it. Let's take a pause from the glitter of destiny and romance to talk about something most Leos don't love discussing: health. I get it. You'd rather talk about success, style, or how your hair somehow still looks amazing after a full-blown crisis. But listen closely, Leo, this is a serious moment from someone who's spent decades tracking how planetary transits affect the body, mind, and spirit. I've seen too many strong, radiant lions ignore their body's whisper until it starts to roar, and by then, it's usually trying to claw its way onto a hospital bed. Here's the truth: if your body has been sounding the alarm, tightness in the chest, weird pressure in your head, sudden fatigue, issues with blood flow, this isn't just a mid-afternoon slump or your coffee wearing off. This is your spirit team waving red flags like they're guiding traffic during a cosmic parade. And some of you, bless your fierce hearts, have been treating those signals like background noise. You can't power through everything, Leo. Even warriors need rest. Even royalty needs a checkup. From a medical astrology lens, Leo rules the heart and spine, your literal and symbolic core. When the energy gets blocked or overwhelmed, it tends to show up through circulation problems, back tension, or, in extreme cases, heart-related concerns. Now, I'm not here to scare you, but I'd be doing you a disservice if I sugarcoated this. Some of you are teetering on the edge of a serious health wake-up call: a stroke, a heart episode, or a condition that's been quietly simmering under the surface. If that little voice inside has been whispering, "Get checked," don't shush it this time. Listen. For a few of you, surgery might be on the table or already scheduled. If so, don't panic. Often, these interventions are divine resets in disguise. And for others, a simple medical checkup could be the moment everything shifts. Just because the issue seems small doesn't mean the impact is. Prevention isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Think of it like this: would you rather deal with a minor leak now, or wait until your emotional ship sinks in the middle of Mercury retrograde with no life raft in sight? And while we're at it, let's talk about stress. You've been carrying more than you show, haven't you? That Leo pride is both your superpower and your Achilles heel. You don't like asking for help, you don't like appearing vulnerable, and heaven forbid someone sees you sweat. But emotional suppression is a silent health hazard. Between now and the end of June, unexpected stressors or even grief may arise. A loss, a disappointment, a sharp turn in someone else's behavior. Whatever it is, don't pretend it doesn't sting. Feel it. But don't live in it. That's the golden rule of resilience. You're allowed to cry, rant, collapse into bed with snacks and reruns for a day. But then, you rise. Because pain, as the Buddha said, is inevitable. Suffering, though? That's optional. You don't have to carry the pain longer than needed. Breathe through it. Observe it. Let it teach you what needs healing and what needs releasing. As someone who has guided thousands through spiritual and physical transformation, let me remind you, your health is the throne you stand on. It's hard to roar from a hospital bed. So take the vitamins. Cancel the unnecessary drama. Go for that walk, book the appointment. Drink more water than gossip. You are strong, Leo. But strength is not just pushing through sometimes, it's knowing when to pause, when to soften, and when to say, I deserve to feel well. Because you do. And the world needs your fire burning bright, not flickering out from neglect. Let's shift gears, Leo, and talk about something deeper than paychecks and romantic plot twists, your spiritual path. Now, I know some of you roll your eyes when someone says trust the universe, especially when your inbox is empty and your bank account is gasping for air. But hear me out. As someone who's studied astrology, psychology, and spiritual frameworks, including a fair share of Buddhist teachings on karma and dharma, I can tell you this. You're not just going through random chaos. You're at a divinely orchestrated turning point. And it's not your first rodeo. For many of you, this moment has been 13 years in the making. That's not just a number, it's a full karmic cycle. Think back. Where were you 13 years ago? Who were you becoming? What seeds did you plant back then, maybe in your spiritual practice, your personal healing, or even your messy, beautiful awakening? Well, guess what? Those seeds have been germinating in cosmic soil, and now? They're sprouting. Your spirit guides Pavosigano, the Orishas, yes, especially Oxum, who doesn't whisper but sings when it's time to level up. They're not watching from afar. They're right there with you, adjusting the path, protecting your light, and nudging you forward with just enough chaos to keep it interesting. Here's the real kicker, you're standing at a crossroads. Not the metaphorical kind where you take a left and end up at Trader Joe's. I mean a soul-defining fork in the road. And there's no GPS this time, just your gut, your faith, and your accumulated wisdom. No one's coming to save you, Leo. But also, no one needs to. Because you're not helpless. You're powerful. Your future self is watching like a proud older sibling, hoping you make the kind of decision that they'll want to journal about in gratitude 5 years from now. So stop waiting for a sign from the sky or a text from your ex. The guidance is already here. It's in your dreams, in your intuition, in that goosebump moment during meditation, or even in this very sentence you're reading. Choose boldly. Walk forward. And make that future version of you proud. They've been rooting for you this whole time. Let's get real, Leo. You've been riding the cosmic roller coaster with no seatbelt, and the universe has thrown more curveballs than a soap opera finale. I know you're tired. I know you're questioning whether all this upheaval, job changes, emotional turbulence, relationships cracking at the seams is just bad luck or some divine test. Spoiler alert, it's a bit of both. But here's what I need you to remember. From one seasoned soul traveler to another, spiritual detours are rarely mistakes. More often than not, they're redirections straight into alignment. Some of you are feeling unmoored by sudden career shifts. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you walked away from one that drained your spirit dry. Or maybe you're still showing up every day to a place where your gifts are invisible. I see you. And I want you to hear this clearly. Your worth is not tied to a title, a paycheck, or how many people clap when you walk into a room. Your worth is rooted in something deeper, your courage to begin again. The exit you didn't expect might just lead to the entrance you never imagined. Now, let's talk about the signs. Oh yes, Spirit says they've been whispering, nudging, maybe even throwing red flags like parade confetti, and some of you looked the other way. It's okay. We've all done it. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to be conscious. And awareness is everything. This isn't about guilt, it's about grace. The moment you choose to course correct, the path realigns. That's the beauty of universal intelligence. It's patient, but it doesn't waste time. Between now and June 30th, expect pressure. Emotional tests. Family dynamics that push your buttons. Work demands that stretch your limits. But Leo, if you feel like you're being squeezed, it's not to crush you. It's to extract the gold. Pressure makes diamonds. Fire purifies gold. You, my friend, are both. You're not just being tested. You're being revealed. So let me leave you with this: you are not cursed. You are called. The old version of you, the one who settled, who second-guessed, who dimmed their light to keep the pieces outdated. The new version? That's the one Spirit is rooting for. The chosen one doesn't run from the fire. They rise through it. Just one reminder: let purpose drive the car, not ego. Ego wants validation. Purpose wants truth. And you, Leo, were made for truth. Stay alert. Take care of your health. Cut ties with the emotional vampires who drain your joy like it's their part-time job. Walk your path with boldness, and don't look back unless it's to see how far you've come. And if you felt seen, heard, or simply a little less alone in all this, go ahead and show some love. Like the video. Share it with another lion who needs this message. And subscribe to this space, Golden Fortune Leo, where we don't just survive the stars, we master them. The cosmos isn't random. And neither are you. Now go out there. Live loudly. Love wisely. And wear that invisible crown like it's custom made, because it is.